So, hello, Cheryl. Cheryl is presenting this evening. This is a weird one where you've got to present yourself, isn't it? So, I'm presenting this evening all about branding, and I'd really like us to explore you getting to grips with your branding. And I've done it through a case study because I thought it'd be really interesting to look at a case study for us to explore what is it that they're doing that puts them very much at the top of their game, and how far are we off actually being as polished as they are about their branding. So the case study I've chosen is Christian Louboutin. So I don't know how many of you have an experience of going to a Christian Louboutin store, or are interested in shoes, expensive shoes, and interested in brands. So I spent probably 4 days in and around the lovely place that people usually start a cruise from, switch a cruise on, and then come off a cruise. And it had a high street with all the big brands on, almost like a version of New Bond Street. And I was really interested, with very much an open mind, because I always feel me understanding what's going on in the fashion market is almost like me doing customer research. Because from the age, I would say, of about 12 and 13, I was traveling to London, looking at brands, branding, cuts, colors, and the whole fashion industry, because my first love was, fashion and being a fashion designer very early on. And I was talent spotted at about 13, 14, and had an opportunity to spend a day in Vogue House. So I've been in the branding, and I would say, the edgy fashion side of branding in fashion for a very long time. And so I was very, very interested as I was going up the high street, which is something, as I said, I started very young. I was looking to look at almost like the brand strengths of what was happening out there in the public, because I used to be a Ted Baker fan, for example, but I felt Ted Baker had lost its brand. They'd switched the fabrics they were using, the designs they were using. And when I went into a shop, I would be thinking, it's almost like, where's the Ted Baker brand gone? And so I was interested to almost do the walk of the high street to work out who was doing what, who was doing well, and who was really struggling, especially in this economy. My first love of brands, is related to Chanel. I loved the Chanel brand. And for me, when I buy shoes in particular, and when I buy handbags, and it's almost like as though I got bet the pound on my shoulder, because I'm making investments. I see my shoe purchases and my handbag purchases as investments in my wardrobe. So for me, it's really important I get that right. I'm sure you find that as well, Beth, that people, when they're buying clothes, they realize some of the clothes they're going to keep for a long time, and they're making investments in what they're going to be hanging in their wardrobes. I don't know if you can
something I've got to educate them in sometimes, because sometimes they really don't see it as an investment and they just buy in any old rubbish, and it's educating them to do it because it's good for their brand.
That's right. And so, I'd recognized a long time ago, when I was doing, a lot of high value consultancy, if I was walking into a boardroom, and if there were women around that boardroom table, I knew one of the first things they would do is look at my handbag and look at my shoes to see if my lifestyle was aspirational. Because if I was going in to help them take that next step up the ladder, it would almost be they wanted to aspire to either have the shoes or the bag or something like that. So I had to be careful what I showed up in, so that I was my brand, and I was wearing shoes people would aspire to have, or a handbag people would aspire to have. And so I've invested a lot of money in handbags and shoes over the years. And because I've invested a lot in Chanel, it's really they've been some great investments. You know, I had one handbag bought for me about £2,000. It's now over 15,000 and it's vintage. Yeah. How many people can buy stuff like that and for it to go up in that kind of value and they've enjoyed it for so many years? So I've invested a lot in Chanel handbags, Chanel shoes, jewelry. But it was really interesting when I went into Chanel off the high street, they're having real problems getting stock because of the supply chain. They just can't get stock. And so, okay, you know, their prices are going through the roof again. But if you're wanting to invest in that brand, it's very difficult to invest in Chanel at the moment. So I went through all of the high street shops to look at their branding and to see how close they were to their original brand philosophy and who's doing it superbly well and who was really struggling. And my two favorites were Louboutin and Dolce Gabbana. I felt they were really, really strong brands and really selling true to brand. And there was going to be no surprises when you walked into their shops. Their brands were so strong. They almost came out and sung to you. So I suppose the first question is, when you look at your brand, is it really strong? Have you got that you branding really pinned down so that people, when they see your brand, they really get it, really, really get it? Even down to things like, you know, I am woman, you know, the branding that's on here, the I am woman in the Vogue writing that almost looks like Times. That signature font has not changed in 10 years. Yet it would be so easy to change that. But it's a matter of, what would I be doing? Because I've invested 10 years in that typeface. Why am I going to confuse my audience as far as changing my typeface? And it's really, you know, similar with Louboutin. That logo hasn't changed in I don't know how many years. The same with Chanel. Chanel's branding has never changed. It's always Chanel. Wherever you go around the world, you will notice a Chanel. And people as well are investing in you, yes, but they're investing in that brand because they want to know whatever money they've spent, they've invested in something that's going to be worth more. So again, you know, when you start to think about your brand, when people are seeing your brand, can they, hand on heart, look at your brand and feel as though they're making an investment that's going to be worth more? It's worth more than the money they're paying, not only today, but tomorrow and as it goes on. So yeah, I loved. So Barcelona is a great place because all those high street shops are on one street, so it's really easy to walk up and down. So Karen helped me, for example, with my branding of the journal, and this branding took ages. And I'm anal about branding, Karen's anal about branding, so even the brand of the book will always be this branding. It won't be any other branding. So, and I don't know how many complaints I've had with this photograph of me wearing a black leather dress. Yeah, I shouldn't be wearing a black leather dress. All the animals that have been killed for my black leather dress. I love black leather, you know, and I'm going to wear a black leather dress, whether I'm sort of 31, 41, 51, or 81. I'm still going to be having a black leather dress in my wardrobe. You know, it's very much about a signature piece for me, having black leather or wearing black. I would say 3/4 of my wardrobe is black. I love black. So this evening, I'm going to take you through, you know, some of the insights I learned on my little tour around Barcelona. So branding, looking at Louboutin. So, so start thinking about what your brand is really communicating about you to your customers. So say, for example, when I wanted to do my TED talk, the most important thing for me is what I was wearing was to make sure that my boots had a red sole on that stage. I wasn't going to get up on that stage to do a TEDx without Louboutin boots on. I wanted the red soles up on that stage because I knew, well, in my head, I thought everyone's going to be looking, what shoes is she wearing doing a talk, doing a TEDx talk? And my first relationship with Louboutin happened probably around 25 years ago, where I bought a Mercedes, and somebody who I was doing the finance through had ticked the box that I wanted some sort of insurance, and I'd never signed for it. So when I went to the bank and said, oh, I don't know what this direct debit's all about, they said, oh, somebody's taken this money out and they shouldn't have been taking the money out, and pressed the button and all the money came back. So the first thing I thought of, oh, I think I'll buy myself a pair of shoes or a pair of boots. Yeah. I wasn't interested in keeping it in my account or investing it. Sorry, Beth. I was thinking of, could I get a pair of shoes or a pair of boots out of it? So, and I bought a pair of Louboutin boots, and I think I paid about £500 for them all those years ago. But I know now they're vintage and they're worth about 3-4 grand. How many pairs of boots can you buy that go up that kind of value? And it's a pair of boots. So that was my first experience of Louboutin. And when I walked into the Louboutin store, it was so on brand. And I was excited to be in the shop. It was on brand. And so you can see, this is, a pair of Louboutin, pumps. So again, you could see when you walked into the shop, the styling of the shop was on brand. They sell shoes to any woman who's interested in fashion, who wants to make a wardrobe investment. And all the great and the good will have a pair of Louboutins in their wardrobe somewhere. They are amazing shoes. So I'm going to take you through the whole brand philosophy of where this branding came from, because there's a brand story to it. Again, what's your brand story all about? So it's almost like as though, well, what's this red sole about, and what are the high heels about? What is the story behind Christian Louboutin, and are they consistent with this story? So when you start looking at what they've got in the shop, oh gosh, it's like, Christmas Day going into the shop. So when you think of even, shoe boxes, the shoe boxes are always on brand. It's covered in like a brown paper with the signature Louboutin printed on it. And then inside, the shoes sit in beautiful red bags, red little canvas bags. So your shoes never rub up against one another, they're always in individual bags. So when you bought a pair of Louboutins, you're going to keep the box in your wardrobe with your shoes separate in the bag. They obviously offer a gift backpacking service. Even their carrier bags match the theme. And they've also got their own range of perfumes. They call it Loubi World. And they've got lipsticks, and they've also got nail varnish. And the nail varnish has a very long wand on it. Again, it resembles the pointiness of the heels of the shoe. So you can see how these heels of the shoe carry through other products they're developing, and also the key of it being the red and the black. They're very much into the signature red and the black. And so this got me thinking about my own branding, because I thought, oh gosh, I really thought through I Am Woman's branding when I launched it 10 years ago. And I hadn't realized my branding originally was red and black, but for different reasons. And I had a whole brand story around why I chose red and black. Black because the color is all colors make black. And I wanted I Am Woman never to be biased in any way about anyone's color coming to join I Am Woman. It was all colors, which is why I chose black. And then I chose red to go with the black, because red was a powerful color. And I wanted the whole theme of women joining I Am Woman to feel more powerful in everything that they did. And then all of a sudden you invent these brand stories. I'm just being honest about it. I developed this whole brand philosophy around red and black, even attended meetings only wearing black or red. Then all of a sudden I think, well, that's a nice shade of pink. I wonder what my branding would look like in that shade of pink, or that shade of something, and and all of a sudden, it's almost like your branding goes through a slow death, and it's almost like you're the only one who doesn't notice it. So it's almost like as though I've come away from red and black over a period, I think, of about 3 or 4 years. But it's only when I went into Louboutin, I thought, why did I move away from my red and black? I had a whole brand story around red and black, but I do not have a brand story around the current colors I'm using. So how did that happen? Yeah. So I'd like you to think about, the colors you chose, why you chose them. Was there a brand story there? Or have you never created this brand story? You've never made the connection between the colors or the styles. So, yeah, so Louboutin has even, he's taken out patents on these red soles. He's spent millions fighting his patent to keep his red soles. So when it comes to your signature, when it comes to your branding, do you have something like a red sole? Or do you, why have you chosen that color? Or why have you are you consistently bleeding these colors through everything that you do? So you can, when you go into a Louboutin shop, it isn't going to be for everyone, but women of fashion distinction will want a pair of Louboutins in their shoe collection, and women of distinction who love shoes will have Louboutins in their wardrobe. So again, if you are a something in this premier market, it's almost like as though, what's going to be the signature style that people are going to remember about you and going to say, so say for example, Steffi, what is it about Steffi? Because she's going into this premium brand market. What is it that will become Steffi's signature style that when Steffi's not there, it's still talked about, it's still present, it's still running through online, social media, website, business cards, products that she puts out there? What will people see when Steffi's not there? Yeah, so I had to have one of these nail varnishes. They're absolutely incredible. And they sometimes bring up perfumes as well in the shape of a black shoe with a very high heel. Absolutely incredible products. So again, when you're developing new products, new services, are you, bringing out those signature pieces that it's not only about branding, it's about exciting people. That nail varnish was 49 euros. 49 euros for nail varnish, but I was not leaving the shop without it. I was going to have that, and it's going to be on my dressing table. It's going to be on. And then I was thinking, oh, those perfumes look interesting. Oh, I wonder what one of those are. I wasn't into the smell, I was into the branding. The brand, it's almost like as though I became addicted to this brand. And what else did they do that was part of this brand? And so what was interesting as well, they put as much energy into the male fashion as the female fashion. So remember, Christian Louboutin is a guy, he's not a female. And, some of the guy stuff, I was looking around thinking, oh, I'd like to have one of those. Oh, I'd like to have one of those. So the fashion, bridged between men and women, absolutely gorgeous pieces. I was thinking, oh, I want to be a guy. I want one of those. So he opened his first store in Paris in 1992. His red sole shoes, are handcrafted in Italy, were taken up by Hollywood actresses and Paris fashion and the Paris fashion establishment. The designer believes that his shoes have the ability to make a woman look sexy, beautiful, to make her legs look as long as he wanted them to, as long as he could. So again, this is a guy really interested in wanting to make a woman look sexy. And I find when I have my Louboutins on, I feel sexy in my Louboutins. I've got some shoes that are so high. I've got a pair of Louboutin, they're leopard skin shoes that are so high with the red sole. On my birthday, I couldn't wear them because they were so high, but I took them out with me, carried them in my hand and said I'd wear these if I could, but I can only wear these. but I have the shoes. You know, I so love the shoes. I even had to take them with me, even though I had a bad leg and I couldn't wear my shoes. So this is the guy, yeah? And his signature style is the red soles, yeah? And the beautiful thing is about the red soles is it's so easy to see if somebody's got a pair of Louboutins on, because you'll see the soles. You will see the soles of the shoes, and you can get the red recovered, by the way. There's a place in there you can get them done. So he's one of the world's most well-known shoe designers. The red soles of his designs are synonymous with luxury and celebrity. So again, are you in this market? Is your whatever you do synonymous with luxury and celebrity? Are you? He sells over 1 million pairs of shoes a year. The company sells in 150 department stores in over 35 countries. This guy is massive in the footwear industry. Regardless of how expensive his shoes are, you know, he is massive within the industry, and he's known within the industry. Everyone knows Louboutin within the footwear industry. So again, what is going to be your signature piece for you in your industry? What is it that's going to be that aha, Beth Price, aha, Steffi? They see it and they understand why you're doing what it is that you're doing. So then I became really interested in this guy. So this is one of the photographs in the store, and even going down to the flowers they had in the store. Yeah, they weren't going to be having silk flowers. They were going to have beautiful flowers that are delivered fresh, probably I would say once every 3 or 4 days. Beautiful flowers, again, aspirational flowers that somebody would have in their homes. But the whole display within the store was just stunning, absolutely stunning. And can you see this shoe here? It's got the black on the front and the red on the back. They're all so tied in with the signature brand. So this guy, you know, is a bit of a rebel, expelled from school 3 times. So anyone, you know, and think how big he's got within the in the footwear industry, yeah. Yet he was a kid who was expelled from school 3 times, never went to university, never got any qualifications. He was expelled 3 times. Okay, then he ran away from home at the age of 12. Yeah, at which point his mother decided to allow him to live in the home of a friend. So he was a bit of a punk, and was, you know, hard partying, very much connected with a lot of celebs. He ignored his academic studies and just started sketching shoes in his early teens. His first job, I can't even say that word, was at the Folies Bergerac, where he assisted the entertainers backstage. So he's a fixture on the party scene with Mick Jagger and Andy Warhol. Louboutin says his fascination with shoes began in 1976 with a visit to the Musée National des Arts Afrique et Océan, they're obviously in French, where he saw a sign from Africa forbidding women wearing stilettos as they damaged the wooden floor. Being of a naturally rebellious nature, he decided he would defy that and create something that broke the rules. So that's his brand story, and he wanted to make women feel empowered by what it is that they wore on their feet. So again, he was super rebellious, but that's his brand story. He's got a story, hasn't he? He's got the story why he started. He's got the link between those super high shoes and where it came from. So I'd like to touch base with you now about your brand stories. So based on, you know, where this guy has come from and what he's achieved, I'd like to know from an aspirational perspective, where are you heading with your brands? So Beth Price, can we come to you first? Because I bet you're loving all this fashion stuff.
Well, I I can't remember how many years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, I went to the Louboutin, and some people say Louboutin and some people say Louboutin and all the rest. But I went to the exhibition with three other stylists. And it was massive, massive exhibition in London. And went through all the story and saw all the vintage ones, all the up-to-date ones. And then there was like an like the S&M kind of shoes, isn't it? And all the, like the naughty bit, you know? And this older stylist that we took with us was really quite shocked by a lot of it, and she kept going, what are they? You know, and how could you possibly walk in those? And we were going, oh Janet, I don't think they actually for walking in. So that was all quite comical. But you know, for you to be so enamored by it, Cheryl, I think is amazing, because even before you started saying, I was like, yeah, kick-ass bass, red and black. You can't be kick-ass bass in, you know, pastels, can you?
No.
Yeah, it's how I see the I Am Woman brand: firm, assertive, powerful, confident, sexy. It is, you know, it's completely you in your black leather and whatever. Anyway, back I'm supposed to be saying about my branding, but my branding, when I looked at it, because obviously I used to be Colour Me Beautiful, so it wasn't so much about me. I was Colour Me Beautiful wherever I was, and you know, I didn't have to think about it a lot. And then as I wanted to leave, I thought, right, I'm going to be an independent stylist now. I need to think about my branding, who I want to attract, how I want to be seen, how I want to come across. So words that I came up with was modern and approachable. And I looked at the colours that were quite modern and approachable, and that magazines were using at the time, and that my kind of client would not be scared of. Because a lot of people, when they come to see a stylist, they'll change 5 times in the morning, and they're really scared that you're going to be judgmental, that you're going to be perfect and super stylish and super, you know, confidence and super luxury, and that you're not going to be a real person. So I wanted to be modern, positive, reliable, friendly. My smile, again, your body language, you know, it's your colors, but it's your body language, it's yourself. People drive for 3-4 hours sometimes to come and see me, because they go, I liked I went on your website and I really liked your smile and I really like the look of you. So it's why the picture does, you know, and the other brand photographers, I didn't have Steffi then 4 years ago, because I didn't know Steffi, but it's why I always keep up with my brand photography, because people like to see the person behind the, you know, they're coming to see me, they're paying for me, they're paying for my services. And like you say, Christian Louboutin, people go back, they become loyal. And sometimes I know people take me shopping, they don't need my help anymore, they know what they're picking, but they come because they want the smile, they want that service, they want me to exceed their expectations, they want me to bend over backwards. I'll never fold my arms. I think I did the other day, but Steffi always wants me to fold my arms. I'll never do it, because to me it looks bossy, it doesn't look friendly, it doesn't look approachable, it doesn't look, and even when you do it in a friendly way, I just never do it, because I always want to be open, honest, compassionate, modern, still positive, not, you know, like you've said before, Cheryl, I don't go, right, well, you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't wear this and you can't do that. I want to tell you what you can do and make it very positive, but make it very approachable. So that's why I haven't got harsh colours. I've got very soft colours, the pinks, the whites, the soft grey, very gentle. And then I've got a mint green that I use when I used to try and do more of the men. It's like a luxury, like a Liz Earle and a white kind of colour that I used to use, that was more unisex if I was doing something for, and again, I'll use a lot of my grey and white but I don't really want the men anymore, so I don't really do a lot of that. I tell you who has rebranded, Cheryl, going back to rebranding, because you know, you've rebranded, you've gone softer and whatever, and now you're going, why? And I would go back to the red and black if I was you. But I tell you one that hasn't stayed the same all the way through, and is the most successful brand probably in this country and others, global: Apple. They used to be rainbow. Can you remember when Apple was rainbow and it was every color? And then they went, no, we want it to be for everyone. We want it to be really neutral. We want it to appeal to everybody. So they've gone really neutral, really white with the grey to appeal to absolutely all sexualities, all sexes, all everyone. Really, really neutral and modern. But anyway, so I just thought that was interesting, as you were saying, like a lot of brands stay the same and that's how they are and that's how they've known. But some brands do rebrand, especially, you know, I think for me, I've helped quite a few coaches and whatever rebrand if they feel, oh, I did that and I didn't really think about it and I'm not really in line with my brand, then I can help them to think about what are these colors saying. And you know, when I tell them, sometimes they go, oh, that's not what I wanted. And then we can successfully rebrand. Helen Perry's another one on Instagram who rebranded. I loved her old branding, but she rebranded earlier in the year and has done it really, really successfully. So it's interesting that some stay the same. They get it right to start with, they stay the same. But if you've got it wrong, it's not that you have to be wrong forever. You can come to somebody like me who can help with the rebranding and tell you what the colors, different colors mean, and tell you what different shapes and different, because again, some people are much more approachable in their sort of form of dress, aren't they? And some people are more like you, Cheryl, like, there's no nonsense here. I'm going to kick your ass. If there's no fusses and frills, it's like, I'm kick-ass bass. You're not getting fusses and frills and softies from me. You're getting your Louboutins, you're getting your black, your red, and this is how it's going to be. Anyway, I'll pass on now.
So Beth the Pound, tell us about your branding. Is there a brand story there behind why the firm started doing what they were doing?
This is really interesting timing. Of course, I don't dictate our brand because franchise is the wrong word, Chris. You get the idea. And the parent company has just done a massive rebranding exercise, and I'm really glad they did. Because when the company was set up, they wanted to look prestigious. They wanted to look like they were appealing to the very rich. And at the time, that fitted with who they were trying to help. 30 years down the line, completely different philosophy. The idea is to help anybody who wants financial advice and to be so much more modern than we used to be. So the new brand is completely different. They've gone from the dark, very, very dark blue with the Venetian lion on everything. We're now really modern. Everything is white. Everything is turquoise. The font is really funky rather than the really old-fashioned, very traditional. The image is completely different and it suits me far better than the old image did. So I don't have much say in it, but I'm really pleased in what they've done because their research showed that the old brand did exactly what it wanted it to. It appeals to the very rich. It looked very prestigious. But these days, that's not who we want to work with. It was time for change. After 30 years, things had moved on and it was absolutely the right time to do it.
That's really amazing. Your company has obviously done lots and lots of research.
A lot, yes. What people were perceiving us as and how people thought we worked and who we were. It was still very much the image that financial advisors were men in suits who only help people with £500,000 to invest, which just is not the case. Most of my clients are young families or young startup businesses. And that isn't what was being projected in everything that was out there. And I think what we've got out there now is definitely going to reach the right audience.
Fantastic. What advice would you give Steffi then, Beth, based on you as a company having gone through all that and Steffi now wanting to move more into the prestige market? What sort of advice would you offer?
I'm not sure if the way we were doing it was right, but the imagery was very much the lifestyle you expect of the very rich. So all the imagery in all of our marketing materials was a yacht or a very nice house by itself on the beach that was obviously a multi-million-pound property. It was the imagery of a lifestyle that was used in everything, which projected what they wanted at the time, but just isn't right now. So it was very targeted, very, very targeted at what we think of as being the lifestyle of the very rich.
I love how Steffi is today, though. I saw her on something today. I couldn't listen because I was somewhere where I couldn't listen, but she just looked, and look at her today. Wow, it's all luxury going on there.
Yeah.
Looks at these on screen. I'd just come back from a run, so I just went, stick some earrings in.
So
They're
over,
not perfect stylist.
so over to you, Steffi. Tell us about some of your ideas now of developing this brand story and branding to take yourself forward.
I've got two pairs of shoes, I guess. What I'm doing currently works really well for me, but I also want to, after having numerous conversations with those who have got a lot of wealth, but no confidence. Just because they're wealthy doesn't mean that they feel confident in their own skin. They are just like anybody else. They have their flaws, they have their insecurities, and the money doesn't take that away. So you know, it's a bit too soon for me to talk about what I want to do, but some of them really struggle with the people who think, oh, just get on with it because you've got it all. It doesn't always work like that. You still need to nurture them, and you still need to help them overcome the fear of being photographed, or, you know, feeling uncomfortable in front of the camera, because so many do, if they're rich or if they're not rich, you know. And if they want to have this luxury brand, yes, there can be a pool and there can be this and this and this, but if they don't feel good in themselves when they have their photo taken, what will you do? They're still going to look timid and shy and worried about things. So, you know, I had the experience with a person in Rome, in Italy. She was picture perfect. She had it all. She had the luxury. She had the designer clothes. She was the CEO of a luxurious company, but she couldn't be photographed. She hated it. But that was deep down. And, you know, the people that she met, the photographers, didn't understand that. They just looked at her puzzled. What's your problem? You look amazing. Just get on with it. But she couldn't. So I want to dive deeper then for them to not feel like that, you know, and understand that they've got the same securities as somebody with £100,000 less in the bank. You know, they're all people.
How are you going to project that over then, Steffi? How are we going to create that in a visual representation and for people to get that's what your brand does, that's what it's all about?
Well, it is all very early stages. So like I said, I can't put my finger on that yet. I've only been in conversations the last few days, and I spoke to a wonderful lady today who is a coach in Sussex, and she teaches people, as people sign up with her, to get into the wealthier market, but they again feel a little bit insecure and they're like, oh, can I really, how can I go into the wealthier market and offer my services when they feel insecure themselves? So it's all early stages, and obviously currently I'm only mapping out and I'm writing things down and I'm getting ideas together, but it's something I really want to work on.
Thank you for sharing. And over to you, Karen, looking at this brand story, how are you creating this, why you do what you do, just as we've looked at Louboutin, you know, sketching his shoes and we know that it's so important to him. He was so rebellious because of what happened. He wanted to make women look sexy, and that's why he wanted to defy what was happening and to break through the rules. He wanted his shoes to make people feel empowered. When it comes to this story behind what it is that you do, what do you think the story could be, or what aspects could be drawn out of the story you're creating?
I think for me, writing a book in itself is quite empowering, because it's one of those things an awful lot of people want to achieve but just don't, because they don't realize it. There's certain things that you can do to make it easier on yourself, and if you get help, then that's one of them. A lot of people connecting with Grey Mouse Publishing logo, they like the grey and the pink. And to me, the grey is very corporate, but the pink has the femininity to it, because I tend to prefer to work with women. And that's why the sort of styling on the website is reflecting that. But I think what I want to do is I prefer to work with older women. I prefer to work with people who need a bit of a help but have the ambition. I just don't know how to sort of demonstrate that within the brand, that, you know, you need to be, it's that whole thing about the little grey mouse. They have to be ambitious. They know what they want, but they have to persevere in going after it, because, you know, writing a book is more like a marathon than a sprint. So you just need to take the time to do it, and recognize that if you want a really good book, if you want a book that is going to be a bestseller and all that sort of stuff, you have to take the time to do it. You know, you have to invest in it in terms of a good editor, a good proofreader, a good book cover, all those different things on there. And this is why the sort of 12-month program's coming out of it, because we want to take the time to do it rather than rushing it. And I think possibly what I've done is, because I've gone down, you know, this is quick and easy, then it's kind of sent out the wrong message, whereas the published method, we're taking time with it, because it's like a good wine and a good cheese. You know, you can get the Beaujolais and it'll be quite young and everything like that, but it doesn't have the full body and lasting power of a really good matured wine, if that makes sense.
I wonder as well, when people walk into shops, it's how quickly they can understand your why. So that when I walked into the Louboutin shop, I knew the shoes were all about design for women to make them look sexy. I knew his why. Straight away I knew his why. And the environment as well was all about other things that made women look sexy. The red lipstick, the red nail varnish, the handbags with a combination of red and black. His why shouted at me. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. But I wonder if we're being too passive in our whys and making it too complicated. Surely, you know, we can create this wow why that people get us. Are we laboring too long over it? Yeah. Should we be, you know, so it's almost like going back to the, you know, the story branding is getting this succinct so that people get our brands, and this succinctness clearly illustrates what our story is all about. So I think it'd be really good over, you know, this September, as we start the autumn program, for us to get really clear about our why in our branding, so that people go, yes, I get it. Yeah. Yes, I get Beth Price. I get it. Yeah. Because Beth, hand on heart, I think you're one of the best stylists I've ever met.
Ah.
You are.
You've got to say that though, because I'm here.
No, you're one of the best stylists that I've met. Yeah. But I wonder if people are getting that.
I think they do, because what I want them to feel is really welcome and really comfortable. And even with my makeup work, what they put on their reviews now is, from the moment that or when they send me emails sometimes afterwards, and I forget to get them to do a review, but they'll send me emails going, from the moment I walked in, I felt really comfortable and really looked after and really welcome. And then I did a shopping trip for two ladies from Exeter this year. And so they'd kind of watched bits and looked at bits on social media and whatever. And then when they met me, they went, oh, you're just like we thought you would be. So I'm really kind of pleased, I must say, with my branding at the moment. And I'm pleased that it isn't all too perfect, that it is approachable. I know some people, they make sure that everything is so perfect with their branding that they don't, it's perfection over progress. I'd rather progress and people be coming to see me than everything looks so perfect, because sometimes people wait till it's perfect to put it out there. And I think a lot of people with their branding just don't realize it's about them. So they get their logo perfect, they get their website perfect, and they don't realize they've got to be out there and they've got to be talking to people. You know, I mean, my social media has gone off because I've been working with clients 6 days a week. So I've had no rest in August. I am going away in 10 days time, and I will switch off for 2 weeks and you won't see me. So I've had none of the rest. I've just been clients. But yeah, my branding is about not being very human. And again, sometimes they go, oh, I like that we see that like the human side, and you're not always perfect.
Right. I'd
So-
like to, in some ways, create this almost like one, going back to story branding, get this one sentence where people get us. So they step into us and they get us. So I'd like us to work on that through September, that we get this branding and get our story brand succinct so that people know our why. Yeah. So going back to, you can see, I know they're totally outrageous, yeah, but they're for a particular audience. They're for a particular audience, and they're Louboutins. Anyone would look at those and they'd say Louboutin, yeah. So again, when people look at you and your branding, would they know it's you? So if somebody'd seen somebody made over, would they see it's you that has done the makeover? So the same then with Steffi. Would it be, how can they say, oh, it's Steffi, or it's Beth Beamer, or it's Greymouse Publishing, or it's Yvonne? You've been Yvonne, or you've been Karen. Yeah, what is it that somebody would look at it and go, wow? So say, for example, it's quite simple for Karen, because every book that she publishes, again, should she insist there's a grey mouse somewhere in it? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So just moving on. So these shoes, going back to Louboutin, have been bought by lots of the celebrities out there. Danielle Steele reputedly owns 6,000 pairs of the shoes and is said to have purchased 80 pairs at a time. Sorry, 80 pairs at a time, yes. And so they say, it's quite an achievement for a guy who didn't boast a formal education. So I hear so many women saying, I can't do so-and-so because I haven't got this certificate, or I haven't gone to university, or I haven't won this award. Here's a guy who's had this major success and, was expelled from school 3 times, left school, no formal education, just started drawing the shoes. So again, what is it that might be holding you back from taking that next big step when it comes to either seeing yourself as a brand moving forward, or seeing your brand taking you forward? So we're going to come to Yvonne. Yvonne, where do you sit on all this branding stuff and story branding and what your brand story is about?
Who knows, really? I mean, I was thinking, while you've been talking about the forever branding, really, because that's something that has changed over time. When I joined, it was very much like this: geometric shapes, quite bold packaging. And what we've done now is we've gone for sort of organic, sort of more pencil drawings. We've gone for different fonts, more curvy writing. All the pictures on the products are more organic. And I think it was very, this is typical sort of 70s branding: geometric shapes, bright colors, in your face, quite masculine. And the new branding is much softer, it's much more feminine, it's more organic, and it's much more 21st century. It's more what people are wanting, and it says a little bit more, I think, about who we are, because the pictures on the products tend to reflect the contents of what's been put into that supplement or that.
Coming away from forever, the 12th Cracker story. That story, I think, in itself, and the publishing of the books, it really gives you a brand story, doesn't it? Because it's your story.
It does.
How has that been unraveling for you then, Yvonne, as far as making all those connections between it? Number one, being your past. Number two, how it links in so neatly with your role as a parent mentor, and all the skills that you have in working with people.
I don't know really. I mean, I apologize for coming into this 45 minutes late. The clock I was looking at, the batteries have clearly gone, and it's been the same time for about an hour. I'm thinking that time is going really slow. And then I thought, actually, no, it's not moving at all. So I do apologize for that. I don't know really. I just think they're all related, aren't they? Because I think all of us are on a journey somewhere, from our past to our future. And we've all probably got baggage of some sort that we need to unravel and address in order to burst forward and reach your potential. So I think we're all on a journey.
How do you think we can make those connections tighter so that people get to know the real why?
I don't know. I think that's where I'm a bit stuck, really.
So who could offer some advice here about, making these connections with, it's almost like our purpose. We have a purpose, we have a passion, and making those connections so that people get our why faster. And in some ways, Steffi is doing that. She's had a real hard experience that she's worked through and is now, doing the kind of style of photography that she does because she's had that experience herself and she knows from that experience what women find challenging. And she's now taken a business forward in a way that in some way sits over the brand story.
And for me, just looking at what you've got on the screen now, I sometimes think, a formal education and certificates and all these little things that you have are actually quite limiting, because I think sometimes that stifles your creativity. You're so trained to thinking in a certain way that in a way you kind of lose a bit of your creativity.
So what would you like to add, Steffi? Because you're out there and working with your story that you've made into a brand, into a service, into a product, and you actually sell that story as well as part of your marketing. How does that work for you? How are you going to take that forward?
I think the majority of people that I come across, not as clients or just as clients, but in general in business, I think people always connect with their brand because of their story behind it. And I think the ones that don't tell a story or don't, are just selling, I really don't think that they're as successful. Even the most successful people, look at Karen Hutchings. She has such a gripping story to tell of how she overcame her heartache and her journey, and people connect with that. And when she started doing her live videos on Facebook, people wanted to see the puppy and name the puppy because it was all part of her healing, and people resonated with it. If she would have just been another clothing store, I really don't think that it would have been as successful as she is now, because she's such a likable person and she puts that into her live videos. She's just so adorable and people love that. And when she started bringing her personal story into it, I think that's really when it happened for her. That's my personal view. When you've got a story that people just either resonate with you, or that they remember things, or that they feel inspired by a story, I think it makes a brand stronger.
What about women though, and this shame that they carry over aspects of their story that stops them telling their story or feel embarrassed to tell the story? Over to you, Yvonne. How do we get rid of this shame? A lot of women will say, for example, feel shame because they haven't got the certificate, or feel shame because they've just walked out of an abusive relationship and they're forced to start a business. There's women have huge difficulty getting past shame, or I don't know, some sort of fear.
I do, and I think, part of the journey that most of us are on is moving from a sort of weakness, limitations based focus to a strengths based focus. Because although they may see that as a failure to have walked out and admit, you know, that maybe marriage didn't turn out or a partnership didn't turn out as you want, the strength is you got up and walked out. And that is a strength. And so that what you've got a piece of paper doesn't mean that you can do anything well. It just means that you're able to sit an exam. All it means is you did it exams.
You've got a wonderful 3-piece saying when you're selling in particular, and I can't remember the exact words, but it's
Oh, my feel, felt, found.
Yes, can you take us through that, because that's so powerful.
I think it's a way, you know, sometimes people need to know that you have some empathy. So you can say, I know how you feel. I felt like that, but what I found was, and so if you feel, felt, and found, you show that you do have empathy with where they are. You can reflect on where you were because that's where you were at one point, but what you have found is, and you can demonstrate how you've moved on.
And that's a
And
great
if
way
you
for
can
them.
do it, you've established the rapport with your feel, you've found a bit of common ground with the felt, and in the found, then people have started to think, well, if she felt like that, and that's what she found, then maybe I could do it.
So can you give us an example, perhaps, how you've used it to put across an aspect of your story?
Oh gosh, now you're asking. Leave that with me for a minute.
Okay, we leave that. I'm gonna move
Me
on.
and Steffi have been up very early this morning and my brain is totally addled now.
So the Louboutin style is about these towering stilettos, shiny red lacquered sole, topped. It's always topping the top luxury annual brands, and it's done this for 3 years running. The shoe brand was declared the most prestigious women's shoes brand in 2007, 2008, and 2009. So again, it's in the prestige market. So again, it's so important that we decide which market we're going to be in. Are we going to be in the prestige market, or are we going to be in more of the more, I would say, like working class market? Which market are we going to be in? Is it high price prestige market, or middle market, or low market? Where are we going to sit? Because our brand will need to reflect that. And it's being really clear what it is we're going to put out there as a brand. So here's a couple of examples of the products there. You can see all the brand consistency there, the red and the black, the red soles. So, and this is the way they market. I bought 2 items. I bought these pair of trainers, yeah, and even with pumps, they've got the red soles. They've got their branding mapped across. But what was really interesting is, and this is why I pulled this out, is the description they give on every sales item to do with that product. So again, when it comes to your products, how close are they to your branding, and how do you describe them? Because sometimes when we're selling something, we're really not doing the product a lot of justice, because this, you can see how this is being described, absolutely beautifully described. So again, with yourself, Beth, selling perhaps a session with somebody, whether it's on makeup or styling, it's a matter of, am I choosing the right words when it comes to pulling my sales pitch together? Because this is how they describe a pair of pumps. Beautiful words. And then my husband bought me this bag. So again, beautiful description of a bag. It's giving the history of when it was originally released. It describes it's sophisticated, edgy, and describes the product, the quality of the product. and then how it can be worn. So it's just beautifully described. So I've come to the end of my presentation when it comes to what I've learned about this Christian Louboutin brand. It's very clear. If you really get their why, you really understand their product. Also, you can understand the product from the point of, is this for me or not? But those people who buy Louboutins are so loyal to the brand. And when they show up in the stores, they're never shocked that things have gone off and wandered down the road. They're always on point and on brand. And you know exactly what you're going to get. So it's just like a Mars bar. You cut it through and you're going to get the same taste all the way through. You go into a Louboutin shop, it's the beautiful red carpet. Everything has the signature of red and black. So I'd love to know what you've learned from this evening and how you might take it forward. So I'm going to come to you first, Karen. What have you got from this evening? And what action might you be taking in your business moving on from tonight?
No clue. I'm just like, I've been watching Steffi, sort of seeing her brand and sort of seeing how she's evolved, and it's just amazing. I just wish I could harness it myself. And I think for me, it's about finding my voice again and just being me, but knowing what that is. Christian Louboutin, being male, he's got that confidence that I just don't have. But I do like the little grey mouse, and I do like the mouse that is persistent and brave and just keeps going after what they want. So maybe that's what the brand is all about, that the stories that I have in my own past of just keep going and being persistent is all I need.
And also you were saying you had to have that to write a book.
Yeah.
So is it about you finding your story?
I think it's about finding the story, but also finding the value of being persistent and having that as part of the brand value of being persistent, because you have to you have to sort of stick with it, and that's not easy. It's very easy for a goal to be on your to-do list and get putting back with other things pushing forward. Because you'll have that bit of fear and anxiety. So yeah, there's an awful lot to think about.
So perhaps we can have some time together and we can explore your story.
I feel more cushions coming along.
No, to pull out that why, because I don't think we've
Yeah.
got the why, yeah? Just as, you walk in a Louboutin, you know his why. And to be lovely to know Karen's why. What's this about? Yeah.
I think the first book I wrote was somebody showed what was possible, and I just thought I can do that, and just went on that journey. And it was following somebody else's trail and then creating your own, and realizing that I am creative. I do have these ideas, and most of it is just learning on the hoof. There was never, I mean, my sister was really lucky. From an early age, she always wanted to be a nurse, and when she didn't get her GCSEs, she went back to school and she got them, and she got her O levels, and she got into nursing college, and then she did nursing. She got her D grade, then her E grade, then she became a nurse practitioner, got a degree and all that sort of stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I kind of just drifted along and started watching out for signposts. So at 25, I found myself on the bathroom floor crying my eyes out, because I was married, I was in a 3-bedroom semi, I had everything that I was supposed to want, and I was as miserable as sin, and having to sort of leave everything behind and just carve out a life. And it's just been hit and miss and trial and error for me. Same with writing the book has been hit and miss, and creating a business has been 10,000 ways of not to do it, because just, okay, that doesn't work, try this, that didn't work, try that, this person was good, that one that worked and what isn't. So for me, it's just a case of 40 years of trial and error.
So what connection does that have with Grey Mouse Publishing?
it's that persistence bit, you know, because I may not have found it the first time or gone to plan B, C, and Z, but I'm still trying.
And so how could you put that across in for Grey Mouse Publishing?
I have no idea, but I'm sure we're working out.
We're in progress. I think next week we need to get back to story branding.
Yeah, but the thing with story branding is you're the guide, not the hero. So I think it is recognizing that I have a story that is about persistence in different things, and just sort of sharing my own little stories that are on the line, you know, the whole thing about being on the bathroom floor and sort of walking away from everything and just packing everything I own into a car and just driving off, and the sort of adventures I had afterwards of, you know, yeah, that didn't work, no, I'm not good at that, nope, not good at that, nope. It's almost like a Goldilocks journal, you know, journey, you know, that wasn't right, that's a bit more right, and just keep on going in that direction.
I think we need a session. I think we need a session.
I think I need a therapist.
Over to you, Beth. So what have you got out of this evening, or light bulb of learning or insight that you might be looking to take forward in the business?
Oh, I was looking for the other Beth then. The other Beth has gone.
I know she's gone.
It's me. I think, well, it's something I've been meaning to do for ages anyway. It's just finding the time to do it. And I was blocking out all my Mondays, and then people keep twisting my arm to do things on Mondays. So going back through all my branding, checking that the words are what I want to be saying to my ideal client, because for me it is making sure that I'm saying the right thing to my ideal client and that I'm selling them the benefits that they appreciate, and being authentic. I am not, and I don't think I ever want to be high end. I think I am medium. I do like, I've done some jobs for some people that have saved up all their pennies, you know, to come and see me. You know, the lady that worked in Tesco in the cafe that saved up her pennies to come and see me twice, once for colour and once for style, and wanted to stop her snooty sister-in-law looking down in a bit of a Mrs. Bouquet, you know, looking down her nose at her. She wanted to elevate and be as the best version that she could be of her. And then when I opened the door to her the second time, I was like, wow, I just nearly didn't recognize her. So I love serving the person as well. You know, how can you say, you can't say low end with people, but you know, I like the medium, the people that can afford to pay to come and see me time and time again, and the people that appreciate what I do, and the people that don't feel confidence, and then I give them the confidence. So, but also I am going a bit more luxury, because that's where we sort of need to be heading at the moment because of the recession. You know, the people that are struggling, even though again they will save money and they'll make better purchases when they've been to see me, because they'll know, you know, they won't be spending money on clothes that just don't work for them, high end or low end or whatever. They'll save money, so it's worth them investing in it. But it's easier really to teach people that have got a little bit of, you know, medium, that's what they need to be doing. I love Ted Baker as well. I love that, because it's all much more me now, isn't it? They probably used to be you, Cheryl. It's now much more me. So they've probably flipping rebranded as well. They go, oh, we've had enough of those Cheryl Basses. We'll rebrand. We'll get the best prices in. We'll leave Cheryl Bass to her Louboutins.
And it was quite interesting, you know, because when you look at this handbag on the screen, okay, so I'm going to challenge you all now. When you look at this handbag on the screen, regardless of price, okay, regardless of price, the marketing knows its value. Okay, so when you read those words, you know that bag has value. too often we are not describing our true value. Yeah. No matter what we're selling at, are we actually selling our value? And when I was away, I was reading a book. It was written by Gandhi's grandson, and Gandhi recognized that he could earn a lot of money for the poor by selling his signature. And his grandson tried to slip a bit of paper in for Gandhi to sign a signature for him to have for free. Yeah. And Gandhi said, no, you're not having my signature for free. You will pay the same as everyone else because I know my value. And I thought that was really interesting. So when you start looking at what it is that you do, are you just not valuing it so that when somebody reads about you, you're not really putting across your true value?
That's
Yeah.
definitely what I need to do, is put it up again, because people are having way more.
Yeah, and we forget, if what you're doing creates this, are you really selling that value, that added value? Perhaps you're not even listing it as a value. Yeah. And are you choosing the right words to describe the true value of what you're actually either achieving with people or delivering? Yeah. And people are not seeing it. So thank you for that, Beth, and thank you for all the lovely kick-ass bass comments, because I'm thinking, oh yeah, thank you, Beth.
we know you are so on brand.
I also wanted to add in there, I used to buy Caramillan. Now Caramillan is a fantastic brand. It's
Yeah.
gone off the high street now. And
It's
I
who has bought everything, and it's all rubbish.
And I used to buy Caramillan in the sale, yeah? And a normal Caramillan dress cost 150 quid. And in the sale, they were 75 quid. Well, I sold all my Caramillan dresses off that I was fed up of, and I was selling them off at 50 quid a dress, and I raised £1,200 just from selling off all my old Caramillan dresses. So it just shows as well, brands have value, yeah? These brands of value. People would say, it's a Caramillan dress and it's only 50 quid. I probably worn it for 7 years. Great value from a 75 quid dress that you get 50 quid back from, and you've worn for all that time. Yeah. So coming to you then, Steffi. So what have you got out of this evening or thought about this evening that you might want to put into action?
Well, it definitely confirms again how storytelling and a strong brand can grow. Because if I look back to 12 months ago, or even 6 months ago, where my brand was, I literally just while we were talking, I get a notification on my phone from LinkedIn that I've appeared in 963 searches this week.
Wow.
I could have never, ever said that 6 months ago, ever, because my brand changed. And my, oh my God, I think when I first started out, everything I did looked mediocre, and my copywriting on LinkedIn was terrible. Now I really think about, and I have a strategy of what my audience might want to hear. And I think in the last 3 months, I think I've grown about 1,000 followers, because I give them now value that they want to hear. That's all part of the branding. Where before I just waffled and told a story here and told a story there, which was not really interesting or relevant to them. So the people that I hope to reach, I try to attract them with the copy, and it's working because they now connect with me and they will open me up to their circle, and I love it. I love the whole journey. And yeah, when I look at all of you, it's like, like Karen, when you just said, oh, I need to do something, you're one of my favorite people on the internet. I tagged you on Twitter earlier. If, can take 3 people you would love to meet, you're definitely one of them. I think the way you are with your audience is so nice and so I don't think I would go to anybody else for a book, because I built this not just because of I Am Woman, because obviously I've known you through 1N and whatever. You've got this personality that I feel totally drawn to. And I'm sure that lots of other people do as well. And if you continue to be more visible and more out there, my God, world is your oyster. People would just come to you. I think you're lush, to say it in Welsh. She is though, isn't she?
Oh, absolutely lush. Absolutely lush. Well, we've got to the end of this evening. Thank you all for showing up. And I think next week it'd be good to do some more stuff around story branding, strap lines, really getting to grips with people's stories with regards to how they show up in marketing, where they sit, and how we can be using them as part of how we describe ourselves, whether it's on social media or on our website. Does that fit with people? What are your thoughts?
I don't think I'm here next week, but I'll have a look. Hold on.
But where are people at with regard to this?
When
brand?
is our next live thing, Cheryl, so I can stick it in my diary?
It's the 28th
Of October.
of
28th
September.
of September. Oh, I'm on my way then, aren't I?
I'm at the same event where I got stuck on the motorway for 5 hours on the 28th. Wonder if I will make it this time.
No, I'm away.
Oh, never mind, never mind. So I've got Sarah Boltman coming, who joined I Am Woman about 8 years ago, and she just started off a business, but she's gone multi-million PLC, and is talking about how she's a data scientist and how she took her business from sort of startup to where she is now and scaled up very quickly, and how she reads information for different organizations and helps them make lots of money, and has made her super successful. So she's speaking, and of course we have Sarah Ty coming again from Swindon to hopefully the motorways will stay open and she will make the journey. She will expect everyone to have this why coming out in their story so that people get it. She corners people almost like in a room and says, you're not going any further until we've worked out this why story, because, you know, obviously if she's doing PR for somebody, this why story has got to come out. I'm trying to get Yvonne, and Yvonne has come back in, but I think she's got a problem with her technology there, so I'm not going to be able to call her in, and she's gone off again, so something's happening. So what aspect do you think of branding or of marketing or on this knowing the why, getting this story out, do you think that we can tackle as part of a masterclass? Where are people stuck? If they are stuck. Don't all shout at once. Where are people at?
Sorry, just had an idea for a blog post, so I'm just writing it down.
Sorry, I will have to dash because I'm signed up at 12:30, which has started to how to go sugar-free in three steps challenge. I really want to learn that.
Okay.
So one day I'm going to be like this, hopefully. So
No. Why would you want to? You
Would somebody give me some feedback?
I'm joking. I just don't want to eat chocolate every day. That's all I want. Just a bit less.
just get some really expensive, good quality chocolate and just have one a day because you can't afford anything else.
And one piece of dark chocolate,
Yeah.
you'd be dead. You won't want more. That's
I
what
hate
I
dark
stop from
chocolate.
milk. I know, but that's why it's great, because you get the hit and then you just don't eat anymore because you go, oof, that was enough. Whereas
I like Lind and everything that's creamy and yummy and
There's a really good exclusive brand in Ireland called Gra, and they do the most exquisite chocolates. They are so expensive, but you only have one, and they're like a pill size.